welcome to the Rift. More specifically, welcome to RiftChats. If one of you don't mind logging into the stream real quick, making sure that the sound is coming through to the stream, that would be much appreciated. But I will be the host. What? What's that?
You're good.
All right, good. Thank you. I will be the host today. Rift Math is the name. Thank you so much for joining. And for those of you joining for the first time and who have never joined into the Discord before or into the stream before, this is the Rift, and what we're trying to do now is a new series of content along with our stream as a podcast setting. Me and a bunch of friends who have been gaming for well over a decade now, and some of them a little less than a decade, some a little more than a decade, wanted to go ahead and start a way to interact with the viewership and bring some people in here, or maybe even to watch on YouTube later if you wanted some entertainment then. We find ourselves to be quite the personalities if you get to know us, so if you haven't already given us a shot, stick around a little bit, see if it's something you like, and we will see what's going on. So this is Rift Chats, where today we will be talking about in-game topics that I believe that the lovely panel of misfits and shitheads will be able to answer very well and have a good conversation. This is not a scripted podcast setting. This is a conversational one. As you can see on the screen in front of you, just go ahead and do some quick little point outs. First and foremost, the Twitch chat will be popping up on the which side? I get turned around. This side, the right side of me on the screen in that purple little box. Interactions are live, so if anyone tunes in and wants to interact with us, that does pop up and happen as well live. This will be posted later, and we always have a question of the stream of the day for the entire stream, which will be introduced at the start of the stream. But let's go ahead and start off now and start with introductions. So I am Rift Math. You will hear people refer to me as Exo sometimes. I have, let's do nickname, game name. I go by Rift Math or Rift Lord in the games. And then I am a direct style of personality. So tell me your personality style, guys, and what you prefer to be called on the stream. So next would be, whoever.
All right. I'm Frisky. Everyone calls me Frisky. Personality-wise, I think I'm like kind of nonchalant, you know.
Nonchalant.
Yeah, nonchalant. You know, I'll be direct with you, but I won't. I don't really give a shit about most things. So.
Damn. All right, next. Anyone, just take a swing.
I'm Fondant. Personality, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of just chill until something is like interesting to me or I'm passionate about something, and then I'll talk a lot. But
yeah. Otherwise, you answer what you're asked.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if at any point anyone wants to ask a question, if you look below, as it says, feel free to ask us questions. We don't mind answering them and interacting. Even if it takes us a second, you'll see me put a pen up or a finger up, telling you, hold on a minute, and I'll introduce your question. All right, next person.
I guess I'll go. I'm Donkey Blessing. Everyone calls me Donkey. My personality is kind of go with the flow. Everyone thinks I'm a hard ass, but I'm really not. I'm just, chill.
It's a mood. All right, and lastly,
it's your boy Dylan. Personality, fucking legend.
Fucking legend. Okay. And we call him Spudley from time to time. So if you ever hear that, that is what that is.
The most alcoholic of the group.
Oh my goodness. That is a perfect opportunity to plug in. This is a stream or podcast where we swear, where we are kind of laid back. So if you are below the age of 18 without parental consent to listen to this is the time to back out of this podcast so you do not get caught up in any nonsense. It is not my fault, parents, if you let your kid watch this stream. There shouldn't be anything too bad or direct, but there is swearing for sure. I don't mind swearing. I know these guys don't mind swearing. And as you just heard, there's alcoholism being mentioned every once in a while, and it's not a too terrible thing because we are all in this Discord and in this podcast of legal age. All right, so that being said, one of the first things I wanted to bring up is we've all played with each other for a long amount of time and among many different games, and one of those types of games we play is Ark, which, if, for those of you who do not know, Ark is a game where you are tribe-based, where you group up with a group of people known as a tribe. You build up a base, you survive, you tame dinos, and you battle other players and other tribes to conquer the map and do boss battles and things of that nature. Inevitably, one of the things that always happens in games similar to Ark, so such as Rust, such as, let's see, what are some other survival games, guys, that have PvP concepts in it? Is there anything else you can think?
Daisy.
Conan.
Daisy, Conan, there's always the in-game or in-server politics that come with that. Either be with an admin of the server, if it's an unofficial server, or with the alphas of the server, so that's what you would refer to a tribe or a group of people that is grouped together that is so powerful in that server that they are pretty much in control of it and whether or not you get to stay there. There's always those in-game politics that go on, as well as from tribe to tribe. Even if it's not an alpha tribe, there's always some negotiations, trades, and alliances and things like that. So we've had that fair share of run-ins with games like that. So for the panel, and try to just make it just conversationally, you guys know how to talk to one another. What is some advice that you would give people when starting out on a server in terms of finding those, starting off on a good foot with those types of contacts, such as an alpha or an admin or another tribe, to where you're on a good standing on their radar versus a bad foot or bad standing?
Really and truly, I think you just need to be on a tribe to be able to get somewhat of a foothold with them.
You have to be a what? I'm sorry.
In a tribe to be in somewhat of a foothold with them, because they don't really care if you're by yourself.
Oh, that's valid. So you're saying that if you don't have a group, don't even show up to the table?
Pretty much.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't agree with that, because you can look at a global chat on any server and you can figure out who's the dominant and who's not, and you can actually talk to them. And most times they're pretty lenient with solo players.
Yeah, I will piggyback on that. Nate, when we met Nate, he was pretty much solo. Like, he was in a tribe, but he was by himself, and he caught our attention pretty quick with trades and things like that.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they're gonna be like, hey, always kill this guy. I'm saying, like, if you want to be on the whitelist, you by yourself, you probably won't be on said whitelist, but they'll be like, hey, this is our friend.
Yeah, let's not fuck him up just yet, but he doesn't have much to bring to the table.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I find if you're a solo, the one thing that would get you on the whitelist was if an alpha tribe realizes, okay, this fella can farm. How can we use that is what the alpha tribe is going to think. If they think he's going to produce a lot of resources for them, they could even think of adding them to their own personal tribe.
That is valid. Maybe selling your skills as a solo if you are solo. But piggybacking on that, I think a good starting point for advice, whether in a tribe or not in a tribe, or in a group or not in a group rather, is market your skill set moving forward. Either the skill set of your tribe as a whole or the skill set of you as a person. I remember for me, for example, whenever we wanted some lines on Ark, there was the beta and the alpha tribe of that server. They needed certain, like, it was ARBs is what it was. And so, which is bullets for your turrets, for defenses. And so I grinded out 3 vaults full for them to be able to get us some lines, and that earned the respect for sure of one of the groups. So I think marketing your skill set there is good. That's a solid piece of advice. What else other than that you could think of?
Nah, man, you just always gotta throw donkey at them.
Yeah, the Dialo army. I think another one that
I love that army.
I think one that's important too is reaching out in general. Like, if you don't reach out first, they're definitely not going to reach out to you.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty important one. If there's very few people that I've ever met on a server where if they wanted access to an area or whitelist privileges or, protection from a greater tribe or trade priority from a greater tribe, they're not going to be like, hey, by the way, do you have anything we want?
Yeah, you got to make yourself known amongst the community. Even if you do get raided, if you stay on that server for a long period of time, eventually someone from said tribe is going to go, oh, this dude is constantly playing. What's up with that?
That's true. What about on server rating? What is our opinion on that?
Oh, I don't stand with it because, as seen recently coming from the Arc view, even long before now, when it comes to in-server rating, it can really kill the population of servers because when you're killing all the bobs, you're not allowing them to progress to a stage where they might be beneficial to you, and you're just pushing them to a different server. So you could, in the end, be pushing them to a server of a competitor who go, okay, these guys are actually pretty good.
That's
Let's look into it.
That's fair, but now just for clarity for any viewer who doesn't play Ark, what Dylan and somewhat I was referring to just now, on Ark, at least on Survival Evolved, and then on some clusters on officials on Survival Ascended, you can actually download and upload gear and go from your server to another server that's attached to it. And so the question being, I meant it a little bit something different, but it does match with what he's talking about. He was saying that if you don't raid, don't shit where you eat. Don't raid on the server that you live on, so that way you can go raid somebody else and build up your server so your server can defend itself. Now, what I was mainly referring to, just for clarity, is what about when you are on, like, say, Rust, and you want to raid someone for the first time, and you can't go to another server? What is a good etiquette or a good skill set you should have with whether or not to raid or who to raid on that server?
I mean,
What do you look
roof
for?
campers are a good target for raiding on Rust.
That's a fucking mood. That is a fucking mood right there.
Then again, Rust is just full of like toxic players most of the time, so literally anyone is a good target. You will meet like a certain like few people on there that are like, hey, what's going on, man? Like they're friendly, but most of the time it's just toxic.
That is true. I actually won't stream Rust for that reason. It always worries me that whenever I get
Oh,
on
yeah,
there.
that's-
Yeah.
That's not a
Yeah.
good play on that part.
I would have to unpublish every stream every night in the event that I ever streamed Rust. I can promise you that.
You'll always get the few though where you'll fuck with them, but they'll make it their life's goal to fuck with you.
True. If you, and that's one thing I would say is look at in global chat. Look for those people that talk all the time and are petty or rude when they talk. Those people are good targets, but at the same time, you might not want to hit them because they might be petty enough to where they'll spend every waking moment of the rest of the wipe fucking with you.
Oh yeah, like YouTubers whenever they like Stimpy. If you watch his videos, he'll like people somehow recognize his voice just like a tiny bit of the accent, and most of his videos is just like the kids or whoever is just bugging him, like hey Stimpy, calling him names and all that, just door camping him all the time. So it's just
Yeah, no, that would be...
Don't fuck with someone, especially when it's their main source of income, so it means that they're on for a large part of the day.
Yeah, that's also valid. Pay attention to offline timers and things like that when people aren't even on or offline, depending on what game you're playing. All right, so are any other additions to that topic of conversation? You always come back to it, of course, but I just want to make sure before I just breeze through it.
I kind of agree. Some would disagree with some of your stuff, but I mean, when it comes to a lot of the raiding stuff, you guys, I prefer an online raid versus an offline raid, which is
Oh, yeah.
the
no,
worst thing
it
that can
adds
happen.
more fun to it too.
Other than... well, there's obviously a culture of people that prefer offline raiding because they don't want any sort of combat with other players. But I think most players would agree that online raiding is more fun because you get that combat. Which I guess that's also a good way of, when it comes to good standing with admins and alpha tribes and things like that. Online raiding will get you on a lot better grounds in their eyes and more respect than offline raiding. Offline raiding is considered a cowardly thing in that sort of game, in my opinion.
Yeah, because like even with the group that we used to play with, the times that we remember the most of having the most fun is when at the very end we get some bit of a online raid where everyone's trying to defend. We may not have defended fully, but it's a good way to end the saga rather than coming online one night. Oh, you're all raided. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, all your shit's gone, and you're like, well, all right, that was that wasn't lived on very long. And some of the fonder memories, even if you're getting your crap pushed in, came from defending a raid or being raided or raiding someone. Like, I bring it up all the time. Nothing makes me laugh harder sometimes than the night that Dylan and I were online and we were defending raiders for, I feel like it was all fucking day. And then out of nowhere, this other tribe comes up and counter raids them. And we looked at our turrets and we had literally like one bullet left in the fucking turrets. And we were just like, oh, lad, if they had kept pushing just a little longer.
That was it.
Yeah, they dropped a Mega Shalon for the first time on that base, and we'd never seen one before. That shit scared the hell out of both of us.
The only thing is, our allies eventually came back and raided us. But...
Right. But it was still a good memory. But yeah, that's a very good point to bring up, Donkey. So moving forward on this similar topic of conversation, what are some good early game or end game strats when learning games such as Ark or Rust?
When learning games such as Ark,
Or just tips in general that you're saying to play it. Like when you log in today as a veteran player in those games, what's the first thing you're going to do? What are the first things you think are, or what things are important of getting in, getting down, getting going, but
Resources.
prior to everything else?
First thing is get a resource and put it back down.
Yeah, kind of establish a little like manhole, not a permanent place, but just.
Oh god, yeah. Like a 2x1 with a box and a bed.
It's
Yeah.
like me right now on your server.
Ah!
I just got a little dinky shit shack that I'm just gathering some resources so I can build and start a base somewhere.
Shameless plug-in time. Speaking of our server, if at any time you hear or are interested in playing Ark, Survival Ascended, we do have a server up and running for subscribers. It's a subscriber perk only. Feel free to follow and subscribe. Join the Discord. You can get on in there and try out all these little tips, tidbits, and tricks that we're teaching you today on the podcast. Now, but yes, so little manhole with a bed, a box, and some resources. What now? Let's expand on that though, because I think it's a huge what's the word? Piece of misinformation, right? That a run or a set of resources is a small amount of resources. So, like for example, I think it was Frisky and I, or Dylan and I, or it was someone and I talking the other day about this guy who we had him in our tribe for a little bit. We said, okay, go do a metal run. And they're like, well, I did. And there was like 2 stacks of metal in the forge. So
Yeah.
what is an adequate amount of resources when working in these games when you're doing the runs?
On Ark, at least by yourself, an adequate amount is like maybe a line and a half since you're by yourself. If you're in a duo, fill that bitch up until you can't carry it anymore. But yeah, like a line and a half when you're by yourself, or
I mean, I always fill it up, but I can't move no more, and then I'm like, all right, time to go back.
Fill it up and pray they don't say it's a tiny amount.
So it's in reference to Ark. What about dinos? What is the priority? Because there's tons of dinos to tame in Ark, and everybody has that Jurassic Park, Jurassic World fantasy of owning and taming a dino. What is the top? Let's say 3. Let's give the viewers 3. Top 3 tames.
RG.
Hold on. Top 3 tames, one at a time, starting with Donkey. What would you say?
I would say an RG. Either a wolf or a saber. And a dilo.
Interesting. All right, Dylan.
So when it comes to the map, are we talking about Scorched here?
We're saying just in general, top 3 tames in your opinion to get. So let's go ahead and say Scorched for now, since that's what our server is.
So in the case of Scorched, it would have to be a wyvern. Next will be a crab, and then an Anki.
This fool. All right, Fondon.
Sorry, what's going on?
Oh God, top 3 tames, and your opinion, or not top 3, the first 3 tames you should go for on Scorched Earths when you spawn in, when you get to the point to get tames.
Well, I think the most useful thing for me was the Argent. I'm obviously the second that I have the chance, I'm getting a Rex because they're just cool. And then probably an Anki is my third.
All right, Frisky.
I think the top 3 are fucking Argent, Doed, and an Anki, because mining shit by hand is a pain in the ass.
If I had to pick 3, I would honestly say an Argentavis, an Ankylosaurus, and then either like some form of carnivorous dino that's easy to tame quickly if you could do it in a pack. And the reason why, like raptors, wolves, saber-tooths, because especially in Scorch, there's going to be everything coming out to kill you. And although it's great to have 2 resource dinos and 1 utility dino, like a mobility dino, I feel like having that defense is very important. But just kind of like going on to what everyone kind of answered here, the only one that stood out the most to me, Dylan, did I remember correctly? You said a wyvern?
Yep.
As an early tame.
Yep.
Oh, brother. All right, so Dylan is now discredited, chat, for...
There are ways you can get a wyvern egg very early on.
Dylan, you've lost your mind.
Because when it comes to say now our server for example, you might not need a lot of milk, yada yada yada. But a wyvern gives good offense, defense, and can kill most things early on to mid-late game.
So let me... I think a point to speak up on this, though, is that I guess if you are an experienced Ark player and you know what you're doing, sure. But I think early on, if you're relatively new or haven't played in quite a while, I would say negative. Because you have to know how to hatch it, how to grow it, how to feed it if it needs the food, if it isn't on a server that has modded rates, all that jazz.
If it's an early, you're not on modded server, what my top would change to is probably between like a Rex or maybe like a Terror Bird, something that can move quickly and still do a good bit of damage on that map.
That's fair. All right, here's one that I think everyone can participate in very well. So, Fonda, make sure your ear is open if you don't mind. What are some tips that we have? So, again, we've all kind of known each other for quite a while. What are some tips that we have, if any, on handling any sort of in-house gaming or Discord issues when gaming with friends?
Don't argue with EXO.
That's...
You will be tired out emotionally and mentally.
Well, I was saying in general, but okay, cool. We'll go specifically me. Don't argue with me. Cool guys.
I mean, typically we usually ask around and say, okay, was I wrong for that, or was this wrong, or it's usually majority thing.
So get insight from other people.
I think another tip is don't hog tames for yourself as well, like babies and stuff. Because you can go around and ask like your teammates, like, hey, would you like an egg of this, or do you mind if I breed it? And if they say no, I guess you're good. But if they say yeah, then well, all right, I'll give it to you, and I'll take the next one.
So that's specifically how to avoid an issue. How do you handle an issue that's already occurred?
Handle it well.
A tip on how to handle
on top of that, just kill the baby. Nobody gets it. That's how you handle it.
So you're saying if the issue is baby dinos?
Yeah, just
got you.
Terminate the baby.
Hey, Fondant, any insight? How do you handle an in-house issue amongst your friends in a Discord or gaming community?
I think it's important to know what everybody's limits are, and know what your audience can handle. Because in my field, I can definitely say some crazy shit and get out of hand really, really fast. And that's okay here, but I understand that in other places it's not. So it's good to just know who your audience is.
Gotcha. Like, so know the people that you're with and react accordingly.
Yeah. So understand who it is you're talking to.
That's a valid point. It's a valid point. What about how would you handle? So before I move on to that, so Donkey, do you have insight?
I did say insight. I said majority. Talk to
Okay,
people.
so get insight. Dylan, what'd you say? Making sure everybody had input before I segue.
Farm your ass off because then you're good.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Donkey's done some pretty stupid shit in the past, but he farms like an animal, so we all kind of just
we could
brush it off.
I can kind of use that situation I had with what was it, Roxas, like way back in time. Obviously I was working too much, and I didn't have time to get on. And when I did, my farming wasn't that great, and I would just kind of like do my own thing. But obviously I got called out by him because why is he with us when he barely even does anything?
Oh yeah, I do remember that actually. Yeah, he was like, listen, I know I'm new here and I know he's been around a while, but why the fuck is he a part of the tribe if he's not going to do anything productive? And I was like, damn, he's calling him out, didn't he?
And then I filled every single turret on that turret wall.
I think if I had to give any insight on it, really and truly, and this is just my opinion, is stop turning it into a tit-for-tat contest. That's the first step to resolving any of the issues in a gaming community. Because at the end of the day, these are all digital, relationships being built. They are affecting your real life, feelings, your mental, and your emotional standing with things. But at the end of the day, you don't get to see these people physically in real life most of the time. So a really good first step of like showing that this is my olive branch. I'm not, like, it's water under the bridge, is don't do any sort of retaliatory like thing in game or statement in the Discord or even a post in the Discord or whatever chat medium you use, because the more you do that, it just goes back and forth and it gets annoying. It gets annoying for the people involved in your group and it gets annoying for you both, and it just makes it worse. And and after that, if you're not the type of person that wants to apologize, then maybe this doesn't apply to you. But I do always recommend, if you feel like it's like what Donkey was saying, when you get insight, if there's something you really feel like that could have happened differently, that you maybe could have done better, that maybe you did wrong the first go round, say an apology. I mean, look, they give me shit about how I am, but I do apologize if I feel like I've actually done something wrong, you bastards. But
yeah, first, where's my tacos?
Oh my, I knew it had to happen at least once on episode 1. I knew it. But, yeah, that's my input on that. I mean, anyone piggybacking on that or what?
No, that's good.
Good on that.
No, yeah, that's good. So we are hitting that 30-minute mark here in 2 minutes, and I kind of want to keep the first episode to 30 minutes just to kind of see how it goes. So let's go ahead and wrap it up with this question right here, because I did want this one in episode 1. I'm gonna go down the list, if y'all don't mind, and everyone give your answer. Then I'll do closing, and then we will wrap it up. So the question being, you have all been a part of the journey of building the Rift community so far with me. Are there any surprises, growing pains, or even moments where it wasn't what you expected it to be like? And yeah. So any moments that you didn't expect it to be like this, but it was? Any good things, bad things? Because at the end of the day, we hear all the time people streaming and growing, but we never really hear the behind the scenes of how the community themselves are growing. So without, like, saying anything too off the cuff, what's your reactions there? Donkey?
Well, I mean, I've been a part of this community for a while. I mean, we go back a ways. But I would have to say I was surprised, because I took a little hiatus trying to work on my own life for a little while. I disappeared, and I pop in every now and again. But seeing how many new people are in Discord and seeing how well it's progressed is actually quite surprising to me.
So you expected it to die off?
No, I just didn't expect it to grow as fast as it did. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That is fair. All right, Dylan. Y'all feel free to piggyback on anyone's answer as it goes, by the way. If it gets quiet, I'll move on to the next person. So, Dylan?
What I would think is, no matter what group you're in, I feel like no matter what, you need to be somewhat cautious. Because, like, I've been in groups before where it's been like everyone loves each other, yeah, we're great buds, and then people have gone, nah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Not saying this exact group, but I have been in previous groups where all of a sudden everyone's turned their backs on people, everyone's started fighting, and it just ruins the.
That's a move. We've had some people we've thrown out that were similar to that.
Yup.
Fondon?
I don't know if anything's really surprised me. I just enjoy coming back, and I don't participate as much as some other people, so it's kind of more for me, like, I would come back and, like, oh shit, there's another 20 followers that I didn't see the last time or something like that. So, because I know when you first started, I don't even know when you started, I can't remember anymore.
January.
Yeah, okay. Like, it's not that big of a time frame, and even though, like, I'll come back and be like a month later and it's a lot of change, so I was surprised by how fast it grew.
Yeah, that's actually a valid point. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what you said, because I actually expected what you were saying to go a different route, but while you were talking, and this does pertain to pretty much you and Donkey, but there's some other people obviously in the Discord and the community that are like this. What a surprise for me, but also a good thing for me, it wasn't what I expected, is I'm really happy that the community, like the members of it, so like Frisky, Dylan, everybody, when you guys come back after a hiatus, because you disappeared for years. You had a life to live. You had shit to go that are happening, and so when you came back, it was just like you never left. And so I like that. I like that it was like that.
I can really appreciate that, because whenever I come back, it's like just kind of going right back into how it always was. So.
Yeah, I like that the people at least that are joining this community and that have been here for a long time have that. And it's happened with Satan too. Like he'll go away for a long ass time, but if he called me tomorrow on my cell phone, I'd answer the phone, no problem. So like I'm glad it's like that. Frisky.
I mean, honestly, it's pretty surprising to see how much. It's pretty surprising that your community grew as much as it did when you were raided the other day.
Yeah.
I had always watched Neebs Gaming when I was in high school, so to see that he came in here and actually decided to raid like a person that I've known for years, he's practically a brother to me, was actually, it was pretty nice seeing like how excited you got, and obviously you didn't have the viewer count on, so you didn't see the amount of people that were there watching you. But
bro, when you and Satan told me how much that was, because I have the viewer count off for a reason, so I don't get in my head. I was totally chill, and then you guys came over like, hey, by the way, there's like 600 people in your stream right now. Heart dropped out of my chest. I was like, what? Like I immediately clammed up and got like overstimulated really fast.
Yeah, you look like you got pretty squeamish there for a bit.
Well, because that's a lot of people. And then the same thing happened when I raided Neebs. Outlaw, how's it going? Raided Neebs back, and as a thank you, and then seeing those people remember me, and then him pulling me up on the stream going, hey, wave! I'm like, oh god, no. I almost fell out of the fucking camera view just to hide. But no, and I feel bad though, because like you and Nate both have said like been fans of Neebs, and I was like, who's this person? And it took me a minute because I hadn't known until I looked. But go ahead.
But yeah, the community's gotten bigger. I will say that it's nice still having people here that we've known for years, since like the America server. So there's a few people that have there's a few people that were in an altercation with, I won't say who, but obviously they don't join as much anymore. So, but they are still loved and cared about. We still talk about them
Yeah, for
here and
sure.
there.
That for sure, and I don't mind shouting out. If those people and you know who you are, watch this content on YouTube or see a clip on TikTok or anything, you come in and rewatch it later on or tune in the sidelines. We do so love you. It is okay. We hope you're doing well. We hope your life is blessed, and we hope you're in good health and good spirits. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Now there are a couple of people. Y'all kiss my ass. But everybody else, y'all are pretty good. And if you don't know who you are, then that's a you problem. Scorch, good morning. Happy Father's Day. But yeah, that's solid, guys. Solid. Is there any other tidbits, things you want to say prior to closing of today's episode? Or this week's episode, I should say.
Just to add on to something, it's just try to be yourself, your normal self, when you come into groups like these, and try not to overzealous yourself. Try not to be someone you're not.
That's a good piece of advice. Do not overstate who and how you are. Own up to who and how you are and stick with it. And if someone tries to push it, and it's not a bad thing that they're pushing. Like if you're obviously an asshole all the time, maybe look inward a little bit. But if you're just being who and how you are and you have a couple of quirks, just tell them, like, look, I'm not asking you to change who you are. Don't ask me to change how I am. And if they're not for you, move on to the next thing. You'll be surprised at who you'll find who's accepting of you. So that's a good piece of advice, Donkey. Anybody else?
No, that's
Solid.
I was gonna say that, but Donkey took the words right out of my mouth.
Solid. All right. So that being said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and do our closing. Just so everybody knows, these podcast episodes will be coming to you once a week. The hope is that we will stream every Sunday at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll stream from anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. We're currently at the 37-minute mark. I will barely clip it. When I say barely, I might cut out the first 10 seconds so that way it starts off on the intro. And I'm going to immediately export it to YouTube right after the end of the episode. So the stream will be ending here in a minute. Because we are live. For those of you watching on YouTube, we're live right now. Outlaw and Scorch are in the chat. And we will be, I'll export this to YouTube. Take me anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And maybe take a small 2-minute break. And then start back up phase 1 on SDG. And just start up on the stream itself for phase 1, where we will have our question of the day. And I will not say question of the day today because obviously we did not get to it. But we will have the question of the day every day in the stream that you're welcome to come and answer or answer in the Discord. So that all being said, thank you so much for those of you who tuned into Rift Chats today and who are going to be watching it on YouTube. Hopefully this is something that you guys like and want to see more of. If you do, please consider hitting the thumbs up button below and subscribing to the channel. And if you like this sort of content, tune into the stream any day. For sure, we always have a schedule of 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Twitch at twitch.tv/riftmath. There's also a TikTok that you can go ahead, shameless sound, a TikTok you can go and drop a follow on at riftmath, and all the other socials and things are found in the About Me in the Discord, in the About Me in the YouTube, or in the Discord if you wish to join it. So that all being said, thank you all for coming. I will see you here next week in Rift Chats or in the stream, in the Rift, live, as always. Spread the word, bring a friend, and as always, stay blessed, everybody.